Now, a point of a review is to test the company's claims, right? So when Xiaomi claimed that this Xiaomi 15 Ultra is the best smartphone camera, just like you, I wondered how is it better than another claimed smartphone camera beast, which is the Vivo X200 Pro. Now, before anything, I was not paid by Xiaomi or Vivo, and this opinion is based on mine, so if you don't agree with it, just hit the dislike button twice. Okay, starting with the ultra-wide lenses, the Vivo handles the exposure the best at this particular shot, and the overall color was more accurate on the Vivo 2. Now the exposure was handled well on this second ultra-wide shot too, as seen in the middle part, where there was a red signage in the middle and it was visible on the Vivo compared to the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. However, when it comes to retaining darker areas, Xiaomi does a better job in exposing the front plants and the flowers as seen in this image compared to Vivo, but once again, the exposure was not overall great. So we do see where Vivo is good at and where Xiaomi is good at this particular ultra-wide lenses. But in a more balanced out area, you'll see a bit more saturation on the Vivo as seen in this particular shot side by side, with the Xiaomi being a bit wider at 14mm compared to Vivo's 15mm. Now the handling of the exposure is also the same for the main 23mm lenses on the Xiaomi, even with a higher aperture value than the Vivo and a lower ISO value. Now I don't think that shutter speed is the reason over here, but as seen, the details on the Vivo was better and not overexposed. Now when you zoom into 46mm or 2x zoom, the Xiaomi does better in the overall exposure, but the Vivo looks more pleasing with a nice contrast and details on the building. And just so you know that the picture profile on the Xiaomi was on the Leica Vibrant, not the more natural Leica Authentic. But where you start seeing a better improvements is when Xiaomi goes to 70mm or the 3x zoom, where you can see much more details on the building, even though once again there's difference in color with the Xiaomi. Now you can expect similar results on the 100mm or 4.3x zoom photo, but when you go to the 233mm or 10x zoom, it is only then you'll see both of them looking very similar. Then if you compare the 691mm or about 30x zoom photo, you start to see how well that the AI processing on this MediaTek chip does, as Vivo is doing a better job at bringing the details of the buildings compared to the Snapdragon chip on the Xiaomi, and the details remain better on the Vivo at 1380mm or 60x zoom. Now while the Xiaomi can go up to 120x zoom, the image does better on Vivo in comparison here. Then looking at a different or a more overall brighter scene, the Vivo has a darker contrast on the main lens. Then the 46mm or the 2x zoom was also the same, but over to the 233mm or the 10x zoom, compared to earlier, you'll see a tiny sharpness on the details on the Ayam Goreng MACD signage on the Vivo as well. And the story was the same for the 691mm or about 30x zoom photos, where the image processing on the Vivo had more details, where even at the max zoom, the Vivo did overall better. Next, switching over to the rear portrait mode photos. Finally, we start seeing Xiaomi redeeming themselves when taking photos on subjects, where in this 23mm portrait mode, Xiaomi does a way better job on having a more balanced and pleasing photo from the exposure and the subject focus. Now even at 70mm, the focus on the flower compared to the 50mm on the Vivo look better on the Xiaomi as well. But you start to see some improvement on Vivo on the 135mm compared to Xiaomi's 100mm. But the question is that in this particular shot, is AI doing most of the work on the Vivo? Well, whether or not it's AI, it did look great on the Vivo. However, when it comes to portrait mode for person, as seen in these photos, Vivo has some improvements over here, but the Xiaomi has a better contrast and better highlight roll-off on the 23mm. But when you go towards the 35mm, I like how less harsh that the highlights are on the Vivo on the skin tones compared to the Xiaomi's 46mm. So beyond the 50mm in comparison, or also the 70mm on the Xiaomi, while both age detection looks flawless on both, but the way Vivo handles the skin tones was much better, even at 135mm compared to Xiaomi's 100mm. Then as for macro shots, now I thought that Vivo would do better and just slam the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. But based on this first photo, the Xiaomi did a way better job, and this is probably due to the fact that Xiaomi is using the floating telephoto lens as explained in my camera review of the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, where they have fitted that in the phone, so they have a better ability to really focus on subjects better. So it was overall easier to nail the focus on this second photo as well compared to the Vivo X200 Pro. So now it seems like we have a new winner, not this anymore, for the ultimate macro smartphone camera now, eh? Now looking at the portrait selfie photos, while the overall details on the background blur and the edge reduction on both was really good, but the skin tones were better on the Vivo. Then on this second selfie photo, the skin tones were a bit better on the Xiaomi, and this could be because of the image processing, so it does seem that Xiaomi is probably not as consistent at this point in time. However, where this selfie cameras does not look like flagship level is if you take a selfie against the light, because it clearly looks bad compared to what Samsung, Google and even iPhone produces when it comes to dynamic range of taking selfies if there's a backlight at you. Then as for nighttime photos, for the ultra-wide lenses, the exposure handling for Xiaomi does nicer here at night, while the Vivo being a little darker, and the consistency is also present in a mixed lighting situation on the Xiaomi, also as mentioned in my in-depth camera review of the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. Now both phones handle night lights very well, but I would give the edge to the Xiaomi 15 Ultra for giving a brighter and a better details on the building in the middle and the overall skies too. Now I would say that the 23mm photos at night was equal, and the same can be said for the 46mm or the 2x zoom, but if you go towards the 70mm onwards, you start to see where the Vivo is doing a better job on the highlights, specifically on the coffee bean tea leaf signage. But on the 100mm, the Xiaomi was better on the hotel and the boulevard signage in the middle, and then Vivo comes back better and stronger on the highlights from the 692mm onwards, even at the max zoom. Now for this second scene, Xiaomi does better on handling the lens flare from the lamppost as seen in the middle of this building on this 23mm photo. Then the Vivo level things up on the 46mm focal length and for the 70mm as well. Now both look the same for the portrait mode on objects for 23mm, so you can expect similar great results on the subject to background blur, even when comparing the 85mm on the Vivo to the 70mm on the Xiaomi. Now just like how it was during the day, the 23mm focal length for portrait photos for humans look nicer on the Xiaomi. For the 35mm on the Vivo against the 46mm on Xiaomi, the skin tones on the Xiaomi had a little more details and also being more true to life. So while during the day Vivo was more victorious with the skin tones, I would say when it comes to nighttime portrait, the Xiaomi 15 Ultra does better. Now the night selfie photos was also better, and the pictures was also very nicely balanced, carefully handling the spotlight on the left to not interfere with the photo. Now even the skin tones on this second photo was better on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, and finally this third selfie photo was better as seen on the Xiaomi over here as well. Now before we go into a video comparison, if you want to see a photo comparison on a web format, we do have one at our website at www.adamlower.tv. Links to the website will be down below, where we also have some daily tech news over there too. Now, both can record up to 8K 30 FPS when it comes to video recording. Quality-wise was the same, but the color accuracy for the skies on Xiaomi was better. And the same could be said for the 2x 8K video as well. Now, there's also a 5x mode for the 8K on the Vivo, but a 4.3x on the Xiaomi. But if you start zooming on this 8K mode, here's where you start to see the 1-inch sensor on the Xiaomi perform its best over here. Now, the stabilization for 8K at 1x zoom is a bit better on the Vivo, so was the 2x zoom as well. Then the 4K video recording was also the same story, while the quality was equally as good. But the color accuracy on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra was better, and this was the same for the 2x video and the 3x video on 4K as well. Now there's also log recording on both phones, and here's where the quality is very subjective because it's based on how you want to color grade each videos, where the quality was great on both, up to 3x at 4K. Then stabilization on the 4K resolution for the ultra-wide lenses, and the main one was great up to 2 times on both. Then as for the front video recording, thankfully both can record up to 4K 30 FPS, and the quality on the Xiaomi was better, and the way it handles exposure was also overall great, especially on the 8-second on this particular clip where there's a quick flash of sun on my face, and the image stabilization was also great on both, and the dynamic range for the front camera for the video was also overall better on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra as well. Okay, so now it's your turn to be the judge, because here's a vlogging test on both phones. So let me know which audio recording is better and which do you prefer using these front cameras. Okay, so I am at the side of the road over here. It's not so windy, but this is a vlogging test using both of the front cameras on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra and the Vivo X200 Pro. So this is a sound test. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2, and let me know which of these audio sounds better. I literally have a truck just passing by right now, so yeah, which is better? Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, a nice big thumbs up would be very much appreciated, as this video takes a lot of effort and time, and a subscription will be lovely too to help us reach towards the 200,000 subscriber milestone. And thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for your subscription in advance. Okay, now for the nighttime videos. Now what's interesting is that if you play back the video on each phone screen, the Xiaomi videos look a bit more darker, but when I put it on my color accurate monitor display, that is where I could see the quality was equally as good for the ultra-wide lenses on the nighttime videos. But what's surprising is that the main lenses video on Vivo did a way better job, where there was no noise as seen on the darker areas, compared to how grainy the footage was on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, which was super weird considering the fact that Xiaomi has a 1-inch sensor. Well, once again, the video processing power for MediaTek did better overall here, I guess. Then the 2x video at night was also slightly better on the Vivo too. So probably the saving grace for Xiaomi is working with the log footage if you take videos at night. But of course, you'll need to work on that accordingly. Stabilization wise, at 4K ultra wide on both was great. So was the 1x zoom, but for the 2x zoom video onwards, the Vivo did better with less jitters on the lights as seen in this particular footage, even at 3x zoom as well. Now as for the front video recording at night, now I wouldn't trade my life for these two video recordings because I didn't like the both. But if I really had to choose, I would go with the Vivo over here, where it had better details on the face instead of looking slightly smudgy on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. So based on the thousands of photos and videos taken on these two phones, if I really had to choose, I would choose this, the Vivo X200 Pro. So do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. But if you want to see how it holds against this, the Oppo Find X8 Pro, check that video out over here.